All right, all right. Let's see if we're actually live. Maybe. And we are. All right, cool beans. Oh, I haven't done a live stream on this channel in a while. So I figured since I didn't have anything else better to do, I'd go ahead and kick it off and see what happens. But this is the Comics Chill and Chat podcast. We're trying to come up with a good name for it, and right now I don't think that's a good name, but that's okay. We're just gonna have some fun with it tonight. I've invited some friends, and if they're able to join, that'd be great. If they can't, then frickin' hey, we'll talk comics and whatever we want to talk about. So I hope everybody out there is doing good. Hey, Manuel, how's it going? Manuel says, "Good evening, my friend Drew. Happy Thursday." Well, thank you for joining. Um, I usually do a Thursday night stream on my buddy Todd's channel, but he's got a big project that he's working on right now, so he's not doing the Thursday night streams. So I thought, what the heck? I'll start one on my channel just for poops and giggles, just for the fun of it. Manuel, I have to tell you, um, I've gotten a series of really good scam calls from some Wells Fargo scammers. They're going to make great videos. They're going to make fantastic videos. I just literally got off the phone like 20 minutes ago with another one, and it was just great. So we'll see what happens. But Manuel says, you're very welcome. Awesome comic. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this channel is the Misfit Corner Comics channel. It's primarily going to be about the store, about my comic book store. In addition to anything that happens at the store, whether when I get new products in and so forth. I haven't actually made a video on this channel in a long time. I mean, I've been very, very very, very bad about making videos on this channel, but I'm going to get back into it on a regular basis very, very soon, including drawing videos. For anybody out there who's seen me draw, I've got the itch to get back into it, and I'm going to be doing it again very shortly. So expect some new videos very soon. I've got some new DVDs coming to the store that got traded in last week. I need to make a video for them. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Manuel says, I like your video this morning with scammers. I laugh so much. Excellent. Excellent. They keep giving me content every day. Every day they keep adding content to my scam channel. I love it. I love it. And I love making videos and sharing them with you guys. So I'm going to give the guys a few more minutes to see if anybody wants to come in. If not, I'll just start chit-chatting myself. I picked up a couple of new comics this week, which I found entertaining, and I figured I might talk about those a little bit. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to cover. Like I said, I've got no plan for this evening. I just decided to go live, and if anybody wanted to come in and talk, that'd be cool. But I appreciate you being there, Manuel. Like I said, I haven't live streamed on this channel in forever, so I seriously doubt many people will see it or come in. But if anybody does, that's great. That's fantastic. But wanted to give everybody a quick update on what's going on with the store, with the books, and so forth. So we'll see. Manuel says, my friend Drew, we go buy clothes with my niece to go to the wedding this weekend on Sunday evening. Fantastic. I hope you have a wonderful time at your niece's wedding. That will be very nice. Make sure you take lots of pictures. I feel really bad. At my daughter's wedding, I knew we had a photographer there. So I didn't even think to pull out my phone and do a lot of videos or pictures. So there aren't a lot of pictures that I took. There was a couple. Oh goodness, there was a couple of video clips I took, but that was it. Nothing else. So, we said it's my nephew's wedding. Oh, that's right. That's right. I do remember you saying that before. Well, I hope you have a good time. I hope you have a good time. Let's see here. I know. Just a second. I know I had gotten some books I wanted to talk about. There's one in particular I wanted to talk about, but I wanted the guys to be here so I could show it to them. But if they're not here, then that won't happen. But that's okay. So I'm going to show you guys just a couple of the books I picked up this week. I didn't pick up very many. I only picked up 4 books, but I picked up the latest issue of Immortal Thor. This is the variant edition with the Angela with the cover by Art Adams, who is one of my all-time favorite artists. And this cover just screamed at me, and I had to buy it just for this. This is probably one of those ones where if I get it graded, it'll be for my own personal collection, because I think Art Adams is a fantastic artist, as you can tell. He knows how to draw the ladies, especially the barbarian, Viking, Asgardian ladies, so it's always good. Next up is issue 2 of Rook Exodus from Ghost Machine. I really enjoyed the first issue, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. This is issue number 2, of course. Has the character Dire Wolf on the cover, and she's kind of hot. So we'll see what kind of character she is. I don't believe she was introduced in the first issue, so we'll have to see. Manuel says, I love your comic book. Well, thank you. Thank you. Another new one I picked up this week is the last issue, issue number 5 of the new Cobra Commander series. Both this one and the Duke series from G.I. Joe were fantastic, fan-frickin-tastic. So this is the last issue of the series. I'm looking forward. I haven't read it yet. I'm looking forward to reading it. I really enjoyed the art and the story in this series, so I'm looking forward to it. Another new one I picked up. This is the one I wanted to show the guys because I was actually really impressed with this. This is from DSLRY. I don't know what that is. Oh, hold on a second. We got somebody. I think this is Zach. Zach.
Yo.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. Am I the only one here?
Oh, yeah, so far.
Huh. All right.
I actually started on time, but, what the heck, you never know.
Well, I'm going to be. I'm working. I'm talking while I'm working. So if I'm.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just showing off a couple of comics that I picked up this week.
How many people are actually watching this? Just out of curiosity.
It's showing there's 3 people watching right now.
All right.
I don't want to rub it in too much. So Manuel's here. Manuel's one of my regulars from the Scam channel.
Right.
He's here. So he's a good guy who likes who likes my channel. So I appreciate him thoroughly.
Well, just beware. I'm probably not to log off really around 9 because tomorrow I'm going in for a root canal. Yay!
Oh, yeah, root canal, yeah.
So I actually want to first get drunk and then get to bed early. Although,
okay.
Given my schedule, I probably won't get to bed till about 1, and then I have to be up at 5 because it's at 8.
Yeah. Well, I promise this stream won't go very long, just simply because I haven't done a stream on this channel in a while. So I really don't. I have to build the audience back up again. So
I'm starting to think that at some point that the whole streaming economy for independent creatives is going to crash because there's so much out there, and what I found is that the ones that succeed are the ones that are either like go broad. Usually that means discussing politics and about why everything sucks, or they're like Perch. They're like comics by Perch.
Yep.
They go ultra specific, so they don't get a large audience, but the audience that get in knows what they're talking about. And they
Richard's here. Hey, Richard, it's been a while. How's it going? Richard says, I count as many because all the voices in my head. Abso-frickin-lutely, Richard. Absolutely. Thank you for joining, my friend. Richard was one of the regular ones that came to the live streams when I actually did live stream regularly on this channel. So I appreciate that he's out there. Thank you, Richard. Manuel says hello to Richard. Happy Thursday evening. So I wanted to share a book that I picked up this week. With the guys, they would understand why I picked it up more, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. I do not really know who this publisher is. It says DSTLRY Distillery, I guess is how you pronounce that. But it's one of those large format comics the 8.5 by 11, which I love this size for a comic. It's very European in its view.
Right.
And the artist and writer is the writer is Brian Azzarello, and the artist is Eduardo Rizzo. If you've ever read the comic 100 Bullets from DC Comics, they were the writer and artist of 100 Bullets. This one is more of a Western comic, but you can tell by the cover, it's rather pretty. This is actually a wraparound cover. You got a dead body in there, so actually, but I really, really, really like the larger formats, and this is not necessarily what my book will be published at. My book will also be 8.5 by 11, but it'll be a lot thicker. So this is actually a really thin book. I don't know if I can get a page count. I'd have to count the pages. I'm not going to do that. But it's the size of a comic, maybe a few extra pages. Oh, shoot. I'll just count the pages real quick. But I like the creative team, and I like the size, so I was willing to give it a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, which is the normal size of a comic is 22 pages. So this is 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 40, 42, 43, 44, 45, 45 pages, and then there's like a preview page and a credits page and so forth. So 45 pages of story, probably 48 pages total. So it's not a small book compared to a comic, but the large format size is just something I absolutely adore. Let me see here. Richard says, good evening, Emmanuel. I trust your day has been good thus far. Absolutely. Richard says, hey, Andrew, where's my Thor? Where's your Thor? What Thor? Was I supposed to do you a Thor drawing at some point? I thought it was a She-Hulk drawing that I had fallen super behind on. Manuel says, my day is going good, my friend Richard. Well, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I know at one point I said I would do a She-Hulk drawing, and I never got around to doing it. But I honestly haven't drawn in so long. It's not my fault. I'm just bad. Was I supposed to do a Thor drawing for you? Oh my good God. Yeah. Man, it shows you how bad I am. But another reason why I picked up this book, and I'm sorry to say I haven't read it yet. I love the artist Eduardo Rizzo, but what was so great about this is not only is it in full color, but it's painted, and he did the painted art as well. He did the art and the colors. So this is his coloring job, and there's some gorgeous looking pages in here. Now I'm not a fan of Westerns, but simply because I love his art, I went ahead and picked this up. And believe it or not, Zach, take a guess at what the cover price of this book is.
$8.
Very close, $8.99.
Oh.
So it's a $9 book.
Yeah.
This is not something that you would normally pick up, but there's so much about it that sold me on it. I mean, I like the writer, I like the artist, I like the format. I mean, it's just more to love. You could say.
You know what that reminds me of is, like back in the day, back when Marvel and DC were actually comic book companies and whatever the hell they are now.
Yeah.
They saw the success that metal hurlant, heavy metal is having.
Mm-hmm.
So they put out their own, their own magazine, essentially high end, adult, more mature audience oriented magazines. Like I think Epic was the one for Marvel.
Epic Illustrated, I think, is what it was called.
Yeah, and I don't remember what DC was. It was, I know Vertigo was a DC imprint, and it began as a magazine.
Right.
Then after a while, it was just nothing but.
Well, no, Vertigo didn't start as a magazine. It was a comic line, but what it was is they were producing mature reader books like Animal Man. Animal Man was a mature reader book, and it became part of the Vertigo imprint. At some point, and I probably need to do a little bit of research, they kind of created the imprint and books got like absorbed into it. Like
Right.
Animal Man at the beginning was not a Vertigo imprint, but it became a Vertigo imprint.
I think for guys my age, what essentially Vertigo was just like okay, Vertigo. Oh, you mean Hellblazer? You know, John Constantine. That was,
Hellblazer, yes, yes. Hellblazer was part of it. Sandman was also part of Vertigo, and they expanded on that.
I like those comics. Like just like the old Savage Swords. I'm not a big superhero fan. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I just think honestly, I think my personal view is I think the American comic industry, where it went wrong, was basically after the 50s, after the Latham hearings, which basically, because a lot of people don't remember this, but in the 40s and 50s, before essentially they were cut off at the knees, some like 50% of all Americans were reading comic books. And it was split down the middle between male and female readers. I mean, people are complaining about why don't we have female readers? You had female readers, but the thing is, they weren't reading superhero stories, and superhero stories were just like one of many genres. There were Western comics, there were horror comics. Remember the old EC one, from the script. Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, in the 40s, they basically invented the whole romance comic genre. I mean, to the point that Roy Lichtenstein was ripping off those guys in the 60s. Of course, we call it art, so we can't call it ripping off, even though the actual artist whose panel he ripped off never saw a dime, and he died in a nursing home. But and the thing is that, but then I mean, the stories that there was the whole, basically people were worried about community delinquency, and of course, comics were the cause of it, and you look back at now, I think the 50s.
Well, same thing as like Dungeons and Dragons was a big
and I was caught up in
influence. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is that the story goes is that Martin Goodman and the guys who were running DC may have actually cooperated with the hearings because they saw it as a decap their competition. But the long and short of it is that superhero comics were basically the only genre that survived because Marvel and DC were the only major publishers to make it out of there alive. They're primarily superhero guys. So Europe, that's why European comics were always kind of more. They were seen as something that could be read by adults. Well, American comics, they were always just kiddie stuff because who takes superheroes seriously back then?
Yeah.
I like, and the point for this long and winding rant is that when those when epic fantasy it came out, when heavy metal came out, when all those. I thought of them as like very large art books,
right?
And it wasn't on cheap paper. It wasn't like three-tone printing. It was highly detailed. It was beautiful to look at, and it showed boobs.
Which,
Which, if you were a 15-year-old kid in like 91, in 93 was something.
Yeah. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. There's some good points being made here. Richard says, "Yes, you're right. It is She-Hulk. My bad. Yes, I know. See, Richard, bless you, Richard. I haven't forgotten. I have not forgotten, but I haven't been drawing either. So now that I have my drawing table set up, I will get to it. I promise. It's on my list. It's in my mind, so it'll one day get on paper." Richard says the old Charlton westerns were great. See, I didn't read any westerns as a kid. Even some of the more popular western comics, I never got into. So.
Well, if you're reading, The Watchmen,
I didn't read Watchmen either. I was G.I. Joe and Transformers all day long,
And I was Conan the Barbarian, and I mean, although to be fair, I will confess that I did like X-Men back in the '80s because I had a crush on Psylocke, which kind of goes to show the nature of my personal life then and now.
Your Asian influence on your upbringing, right?
No. This is before Betsy Braddock was turned into an Asian. She was still British back then.
Oh, okay.
Still wearing the royal costume, not like the weird ninja stuff we see now.
Well, that's what kind of shot her to popularity. She was kind of, the British nanny, good girl. And then Jim Lee and Chris Claremont turned her into an Asian badass assassin.
Well, Claremont had a lot of he put a lot of his own personal stuff into his work. I mean,
Yeah.
But no, but that's the thing is that I liked Metal Harlan, I liked Epic, I like all that stuff, and it really bummed me out that heavy metal, like when they stopped publishing it a couple of years ago because of apparently some back end nonsense.
Well, the last time I saw heavy metal in the store, it was like $14.99 was the cover price, and I'm like, how the heck do they survive at that price?
I mean, I don't know.
I guess people were paying it, or maybe not. So,
well, I mean, it's high quality. It's a high quality slick paper. I mean, they can. But
yeah, well,
I mean, look, I remember when I was in the city back in New York. I mean, there was like a newsstand in one of the subway stops that specialized in fashion magazines, and you could buy they were magazines, but they were like as thick as like paperback novels.
Yeah.
They were selling for like $40 or $50, but there was high end photography in there. So,
well, I know this is unusual, but we actually have a lot of comments to read. So let me catch up on the comments real quick.
Well, I will get back to work on.
All right. Well, no, it's just funny that usually when we're doing our Thursday stream, we're all just chatting along, and every now and then there'll be a comment that gets popped up. But I actually have viewers that actually contribute, so we're gonna
shoot.
All right, let me see what else is going on. Richard says Marvel Prestige format and Epic. Yes. I actually had some copies of Epic Illustrated. Some gorgeous stuff. Well, my only problem with those magazines was that a lot of them were like anthologies and one-shots. And there wasn't any, sometimes there was a continuing story, but there wasn't a lot. But with like Conan magazine, it was always following the adventures of Conan,
Right.
But with some of those, other artsy type magazines, there wasn't continuing stories, which maybe that's a good thing, maybe not, maybe somebody could bring that format back,
Well, you know how it was in Japan is like with manga. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so I don't know if it's still the case, but for the longest time, the way it worked in Japan was, basically you'd have like the big manga companies would have would have Seinen magazines where they would have that's
like Shonen Jump and stuff like that.
And that's where they would debut their they would actually that's where
they would test new titles there,
right? And so like for example like Naruto or Inuyasha, they would
One Piece or exactly.
They would publish the latest stories in there, and then when they had enough, that's when they would publish a tankobon, like a collected collection, and that's what you get in the U.S.
Yep.
In Japan, I mean, it was like, it was like getting multiple books in multiple issues in one book.
Well, Marvel Comics did that with Marvel Comics Presents, where it was a 32-page book broken into 4 8-page stories, and there was usually 1 or 2 continuing story, and then the rest were like one-shots. But that book was used as like a testing ground for artists, because sometimes you'd get an established artist like Barry Windsor Smith on Weapon X, but then you'd get first-time artists doing a backup story, an issue, and sometimes they were really crappy art, but they were somebody's first time. Like I recently got a small collection of comics, and I was going through, and there were several issues of Marvel Comics Presents, and one of them was like a $10 issue. And I'm like, why is this a $10 issue? It didn't have anything important happen in it. Well, I flipped through it, come to find out it was Joe Madura of X-Men fame's first issue, first drawings for Marvel. And it sucked. But it was his first Marvel work, was in Marvel Comics Presents.
Well, that's the thing, was that back because like back then, it's like with any art form, not just comic books, but with writers, with filmmakers, with artists of any kind.
Yeah.
In those days, they would take the time to develop new talent, and so you get some artist, he's not very good at what he does, but because he's new. But you see potential, so you keep throwing him work, and the more he works, the better he gets. I mean, they would act, and they would actually have artists mentor younger artists,
and the artists would get developed, and they would get experience. Exactly.
It's like with the music industry today. I mean, you look at, for example, a lot of the bands that in the 80s, 90s, and 70s, 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, You know, they would be signed to like 4 or 5 album deals right out of the gate.
Yeah.
The expectation was, yeah, look, we know your first album's probably going to suck because you don't know what you're doing. So we're going to take the time to develop you, and by album 3, we expect you to like be good enough to actually sell. I mean,
nowadays your first album has to sell millions in order to make it. You know.
Yeah,
and that's just like comic artists. You have to be the best you can be right out of the gate, and that's never how it goes. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
let me jump.
He did.
Let me jump back to the chat real quick because I got to catch up on stuff again. Richard says Sandman was very good. The wife and I recently watched that series again on Netflix. The show still stands up. It was rather good, but there was actually an extra episode, and it's been renewed, so there is more episodes coming. But there was an extra 11th episode that I didn't realize was there, and it was rather interesting. So if you haven't watched Sandman on Netflix in a while, there is an extra episode in there. So if you get a chance, check it out. Manuel says, "Where's your friend Todd?" He's working. He's actually working on a very large project right now that he's trying to finish. So that's why he's kind of canceled his Thursday night streams. That's why we're doing this tonight, is because there is no Thursday stream, and I wanted to chit-chat. Fearful Milk's here. Fearful Milk says, "Is that a live Mitfit Cups I see?" Yes, absolutely, sir. How's it going, my friend over on the other side of the pond? How are you this evening? Or for you, it'd probably be early in the morning. Richard says, "Fearful Milk." Yes, it is. Manuel says, "Hello to Fearful Milk. Happy Thursday evening." Richard says 2000 AD. I was familiar with the 2000 AD comics, and I have read a couple. I wasn't a big fan of them, but wasn't 2000 AD also a magazine, or wasn't it published in a magazine format?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it still is actually. Although I don't know if it's online or not. I mean, that's where you had Judge Dredd and and also Strontium Dog, and all those other weird, you know. Basically, I mean, it was. I don't know. I mean, I'm not as familiar with British comics as I should be, and I should be because I lived in Hong Kong for a long time, back when it was ruled by the British, so you had a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, those British comics like Strontium, like Judge Dredd, Strontium Dog. It's funny. It's kind of like they're very political, but if you read them now, they're just like, a lot of times like the humor might seem a bit weird, but it makes sense in the context of the time, because these are guys who were writing, when Margaret Thatcher was prime minister, and they tended to like not be fans.
They were kind of aged. They've been aged, but
I mean,
it'd be cool if somebody did on a regular basis an affordable, high artistic magazine. I just don't think it exists anymore.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I don't know. I mean, it's weird. I mean, look, like as I said, Titan came out with basically revived Conan the Barbarian, and I was actually kind of pissed that I couldn't get I couldn't find like issue 2
right.
The new Savage Sword.
I'm going to keep an eye out, because you never know when I come across stuff. So
the thing is, and I mean, but again, this is I think the problem with that American, when you compare the American comic industry and manga.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Japan a couple of years ago, 2000 AD. When I was in Japan a couple of years ago, what I found, again, you can buy manga anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to a specialty store. I mean, there are specialty stores, but you walk into your local 7-Elevens or Lawson, which is kind of like their version of not 7-Eleven. It's like their version of Cumberland Farms or whatever. You walk in there and you can buy whatever, like a soda, a preheated meal, whatever. And right by the door there's a rack with manga on it. You walk down the arcade, like a local arcade, and like the local butcher will have like have a rack with manga on it. You can buy manga out of vending machines.
Right.
It's whereas here, if you want to buy comics, you have to find a specialty comic book store.
Yep.
Drive there. You have to hope that they have whatever you want. I mean, again, that's the problem I had. I couldn't get what I wanted because it was sold out.
Right.
And again, like the first place I went to, the guy he said he would open at 2. He came in 2 hours late because he's basically an old guy, and this is basically his retirement. The other 2 places I went to, I mean, again, the other place, that guy's basically he's basically selling back issues.
Right.
I mean, he's not really selling.
Same with me.
Yeah, he has new issues, but it's like you, it's back issues. And the third place, it's subscription only.
Right.
If you say you have to subscribe to it, which I may do. Go back next week after I've recovered. But again, that doesn't work for I mean, I think we can agree. Digital comics aren't really taking off. I mean,
I'm not a fan, honestly. I'm not a fan of digital comics.
Which bugs me because it's a perfect distribution system. For people who just want to read the comic, they don't care about collecting.
Right.
The story. I mean, and Amazon basically killed Comixology. I can still buy comics and read them on my Kindle app on my phone, but I can't read them on my actual Kindle because my actual Kindle is like black and white. So
right.
And it's just not the same. I mean, the pictures are tiny.
Yeah, I released Hero on one of the comic websites where you can upload your own comics.
Yeah.
And it got views, but never the amount of views that would make money or generate money off of.
Right.
And I never liked having it online, to be viewed online that way. That was never how it was intended to be done, how it was intended to be seen.
I think successful online comics were created with online viewing in mind. I mean, they're laid out to be viewable on phones. Like a regular comic book, you have to use that weird application where if you get like a full page spread, it zooms in on different letterboxes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the thing is, people read manga. They read manga actual in their hands. And again, it didn't need, back in the 90s, I remember you could walk into any store, there'd be spinner racks of comic books on there.
Yep.
That's how you would buy your comics. And I think the biggest mistake they ever made was giving up that frontage. Because, I mean, where are you going to, I mean, I guess, I mean, maybe, I mean, I don't think mail order was ever a big thing for comics. I mean, you could maybe get a subscription, but they never really did that either.
Well, there's crowdfunding comics right now that's kind of popular, but it's a very small niche in the comic book world.
It's also very complicated.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have to, if you get in the wrong point, I mean, I subscribed to a crowdfunding comic 5 years ago, and they still haven't delivered.
Right.
And I think the reason why is that the guy doing it basically got sick, and he's slowly recovering his health. But no, I just think you got to have publishers, or you got to have distribution, and it has to be, and it can't be in niche stores. I mean, it has to be in places where people actually go.
Yep. All right. Well, let me catch up on the chat again, because I still keep. I am not abandoning the chat. I promise I'm not.
And I know I keep ranting, but
that's all right. That's all right. Fearful Milk says hello to everyone. Richard says hi to Milk. Richard says the original Watchmen was very well done. That was one of those comics that, though it was produced monthly, it's much more enjoyable if you read it in one shot as a collected edition. I don't think you get the balance that every issue gave you, because every issue was very well balanced if you read it all at one time. But overall, the story from beginning to end was freaking fantastic. So, all right.
It was one of those books that was really kind of created as as a novel.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it.
Richard says some of the Charlton Westerns had the likes of Wallywood, Frazetta et al. Yes, absolutely. Manuel says, I like Western comics. Very cool. Richard says, run down some of them, Manuel. Get reading copies, as they are still relatively cheap. You can get some old Western comics, like some beat up old Western comics, for actually not a lot of money. But there's some that are worth a lot. But then a lot of them were not necessarily well cared for, so you could find them in a lot of different conditions. So And Richard says Frazetta also did romance comics. Yes, he did. Manuel says okay to Richard. Fearful Milk says it's 1:30 in the morning, editing a 30-minute video and doing a script for another Ben 10 video, and we'll be moving on to do some Batman videos while waiting for the new animated series. Very, very cool. And Richard says to Misfit Corner Comics, Andrew, try Indie Planet. Okay. Well, actually, no. I'm going to get focused back on working on Hero again. There's some tweaks to volume 1 that need to be done before I go back to print on it. Just some things that rubbed me wrong pretty much from the first time I published it, to where I'm not going to publish it again until these corrections are made. And some of them are going to take a minute because I'm actually redesigning a couple of the characters. There's some characters that appear in the book, like maybe in 5 or 6 pages, but I was never happy with the design of those characters and the way they look. So I want to redo them and put them in the book. It's mostly because I want them to come back and be part of a story in the future. So it requires designing and redrawing those particular panels. And granted, there's not very many of them, but it's still a matter of sitting down and drawing, which I haven't done in a while. So once I get back into the swing of it, that's one of the first things that are going to get done. And there will be a new updated edition of Hero Book 1 very soon. I hope by the end of this year. That's what I'm working towards. And what's great is Book 2 doesn't require a lot of edits. Book 2 is pretty much almost 100% what I intended it to be when I finished it. There is a backup story that kind of rubs me a little bit wrong, that I may redraw part of that. But other than that, Book 2 is pretty much almost, at this point, it's like 98% done. 98%, I'm happy with it. So once Hero Book 1 is edited and ready, Book 2 will follow very closely behind that. And then we get back to work on Book 3. So Richard says, I love the Hero series, Andrew, as you're well aware. Great stuff. Well, excellent. And Richard says, first of the new Hero book. First for the new Hero book. Well, yep. And I also have some Crom stories that I'm working on that I've been laying out pages for, and we'll be working on that again very soon as well. Because I have plans for a Crom book that I want to be more like a Conan magazine. I want it to be in the larger format, and I want it to be grayscale, full grayscale. I mean, to the point where some of the pages are just nothing but pencils instead of pencils and inks. So I'm planning on pushing myself creatively and artistically with what I have planned for Crom. So for all you out there who are following along, this channel is the place to be to find out more about all those projects. So, whew.
Yeah,
so what are you working on right now, Zach?
Well,
other than getting a little tipsy.
Well, actually, no. I'm still stone cold sober, and I'm working on a website for a client.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're doing work right now then?
Yeah, work. I've
okay.
But creatively, at the moment, I'm kind of like knee deep in marketing my novel, my upcoming novel, which is coming out in about 2 months. So what I've been doing, and feel free to like criticize this approach, is I'm primarily focused now on just getting advanced readers. So I'm sending out free copies to anyone. In return, is you have to, post a review on Amazon on the day of. So I'm up to about 58 now.
Okay, excellent.
That includes all you guys.
All right.
So, but I've basically been like running ads on Amazon. I'm running ads on Facebook, and I'm also testing out an approach where I'm like putting out like a 2,000 word excerpt from the book.
Okay.
And there's like there are links everywhere in the PDF. It's a PDF, and there are links in the PDF to the Amazon page.
Okay.
I haven't led any sales yet, but I've got at least 2 pre-sales.
Okay.
Which is better than nothing, but I don't know. I mean, it's.
Richard asks, do you have a website or a YouTube channel, Zach?
I do not have a YouTube channel, but I do have a Substack.
Okay, well, go ahead and put the link in here, or I'm not sure if you can put the link in the chat or not, but if you put it in the private chat, I'll put it in the.
Do that right now.
Okay. And Richard also asks, how's the comic book store, Andrew? It's going good. We are planning some major renovations in the store this summer, which we've already started on. I'm going to be making videos showcasing the renovations, but I'm actually going to have some manual labor help this summer. One of my customers, his son is going into 9th grade. And a couple of weeks ago, I was asking him, so what are you doing for the summer? And he's like, nothing really. I said, would you like to come and help me do some building and painting and stuff like that in the store? And his dad said, yes, he would. Richard says, adding a second floor? No, not that much. But there's one wall of the store, which in the comic section was originally just nothing but wall books. And I'm talking about maybe 50 books total on this wall. Plus there were 3 movie posters. And did I sell books from that wall? Yes, from time to time I would, but the majority of stuff that was up there was not selling. You know, it was more for visuals. But what I did is I took that entire wall down, and so far I've built a base shelf going from one end of the wall to the other, and then I'm putting 4-foot-long bookshelves on it so that I can put more products on that wall. And so far I've built 2 of the 5 bookshelves that are going to go up there. So it's a matter of just building and building and building. And I'm going to put the link in here. This is this is Zach's
Substack.
What is it? It's your Substack? Oh, okay. That's the link to his Substack. You guys can go check it out.
Right.
And
I think what I'm trying to do now is trying to post like at least once a week, although I didn't get anything out this week. I'm not on it. Various thoughts as well.
Shame.
Yeah. I know. I'm actually writing a post right now, and just thoughts on grimdark, the whole concept of grimdark and short version. I'm not a fan. But but I don't know. I mean, I'm always if any of you want to get a free book in return for review, the links on the site somewhere.
All right.
And
cool.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully in 2 weeks' time, well, in 2 months' time, it'll sell enough to like buy me a cup of coffee.
Hey, you never know. You never know. All right, well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We're going to cut it a little early. I hope to try to make this a regular weekly thing once again on this channel. I do not know what day that's going to be just yet. Today, it just happened to be Thursday because we weren't live streaming on Todd's channel, and it's something we normally do. So tomorrow, Friday, will be on his channel for the Nerd Den as usual. And then, of course, Saturday at 8 o'clock is the Misfit Corner Scams. But I haven't set on the regular day for this live stream. But as soon as we do, I will make sure you all know and look forward to seeing you all there. Richard says, good evening, Drew, and it's great to see you. Thank you, Zach, he says. Richard, I promise you I will work on that She-Hulk drawing. It's on the list of things to do as soon as I start drawing again. It's on there. Trust me. You'll be the first to know. All right, everybody. Good night. Manuel, I'll see you Saturday night. Take it easy and don't work too hard, and enjoy your nephew's wedding, and have a good time, and wish everybody there happy wedding. Congratulations. All right, everybody. Thanks, Zach, for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow, okay?
All right, man.
All right.